She started hitting me and trying to roll off her potty chair. My hand slipped down and shit speared my forearm. "Get off of me," she said. The best thing to do is to wait until she slips back in. So I walked to the bathroom to wash my arm and my hand. I walked back to the room and she's still sitting on the potty chair. "It's you again," she says. "Dear God, please help." Grandma finally called for me. I walked into the room and she said, "Would you mind helping me, please? I had a little accident." I started wiping her, but the shit had dried a little and the toilet paper kept crumbling off. I soaked the wash rag with warm water and soap. "Thank you," she said. "It must be something I'm eating that's making me mess all over myself." She farted and started laughing. "That's enough gas to put in that car out there," she said.
Ain't that some shit? Seriously, if there's ever like a movie done about me, can you like be my voice guy? like Morgan Freeman? You got it. You just got that in. You got it. This poem's called A Lesson in Hoop Heretics. It starts out with the voice of my cousin speaking to me. It goes like this. "See, cuz, I told you he can do it. I told you he could. Mike ran all the way up to that free throw line and he took off like an airplane in sneakers. Mike did not jump, he flew. You could tell by the way that he glides. See, I told you, black folks have this secret power. They can fly." A lesson in hoop heretics. Two truths, one lie. Rise over run. The truth. These boys can jump. After school, Hoop Park, Aurora, Colorado, you'll learn young black boys look at the rim like rich kids in Aspen look at Everest. One day I'm going to touch the top. They stretch like textiles sewn on first aviation flight machines, ducklings, falling from their netted nests in reverse. Maybe the calf muscle's a curse. Maybe this rim is not Everest. Maybe they just dance with mid-flight like yardbirds and Juarez. Truth number two. These boys can run. Run over rise. They used to call him Twinkle Toes. Miles Hayes, 3rd grade, running back, jersey number 21, might as well have been a blur. The haze after speeding on a dirt road in the South, trying to trade noose knots for track medals. I don't know why these boys can run so fast. I don't know if they're running to or away from something. Single track kitty hawks, knowing that somewhere under their soiled skin is a prayer embedded in their backs, written in Julius, written in Spud, written in LeBron, written in Kobe, a seed blossoming for some, but a defect for most. The lie. These boys can fly. When I was a kid, I once caught a broken robin in a chicken coop. I fed it inspiration, safety in the sky. I used to think that wings promised flight. There's no marrow, just hollow little bones, little wings, little promises, just lost scholarships and the inability to escape gravity's vacuum. Just lost scholarships and the inability to escape gravity's vacuum for long enough to revel in the majesty of flight, to see the monarchs fly north, watch the sand cranes settle in Nebraska, or the other Jumpman gliders who tasted the sky. I used to think that flight was just a reaction when attempting to guarantee your prayers, a surefire escape route. But black boys keep disappearing. Those rims just stay in the sky. Boom.
That you both have powerful voices, very strong. Strong in more ways than one. And I'm thinking about a James Baldwin quote. And it goes something like this, that the poet is produced by the people because the people need him. Do those words resonate with you? And can you maybe speak a little bit about how you see your work as engaging community and the people?
Yeah, I mean, I just got out of another panel on cultural appropriation, and there was a lot of discussion that I felt hesitant to enter because we're talking about permission and accessibility into other narratives, and what I hold, I think that I don't know if a lot of writers hold, is I do feel responsible to my community, and that comes with a lot of oh man, just a lot of everything. When you become a civic figure, when you have to write for the city, and your background is in steeped in social justice work, it was not a secret while I was holding the poet laureate position that there were certain directors of certain wards that didn't want me to be the poet laureate because of the platform that I stood in congruence with the Black Lives Matter movement, and working with those balances is kind of a tough thing. Here's where I hold tall, and I think Baldwin is a great example of this. Is that your empathy has to be placed in the right sector, and when you feel that way, where you don't feel where your empathy for your culture, for yourself, and for everything that you believe in is placed correctly, I feel like I could read that poem to a group of fourth graders in an elementary school here in Boulder, Colorado, and not feel any way about it. And so the limitations that may happen for who may be your audience don't apply when I feel like I write in a certain way with a very deliberate notion to make people think. And that responsibility to my culture, that comes from a lot of places, right? That comes from having a grandmother who was unwilling to ever choke down a word for somebody else, right? And if I didn't have her in my space to have that as an example, I'd probably be a little bit more dormant and fearful about owning the thoughts that I have and the way that my writing process is. So I definitely think that sometimes it's not even me. Like, I have been just sent on a mission to carry this out even further. So, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, for me too, is I think the community creates the poet, so I feel that is true, and I try to celebrate in my work the voice. See, I'm doing this thing now where I'm in front of a room full of white people and I'm overcorrecting my voice, right? We're taught that, and you have to contend with that since you're little, like, oh, don't show your class, like, speak right or whatever. So in my book, I try to celebrate the voice by having things as they are. So when I say y'all in my book, I don't put an apostrophe. I'm not implying that anything is redacted from your language, like this is how we talk, this is it. When I say going, it's not G-O-I-N apostrophe, it's just G-O-I-N because, hey, this is it, this is the word. So how I feel, I just want to celebrate the voices, and it's also a very political act for me, a very rebellious thing. It's like, I talk like this, you don't have to like it, Even though I can't help but to correct my voice, like, over enunciate. I've learned to say me and Giovanni this thing instead of saying Giovanni and I. That doesn't feel right to me, so I don't say it anymore, regardless of who I'm around. So that's celebratory of voices in my community.
Thank you. So I sometimes hear writers say that there's a way in which writing saves their life. Is that something that you would also say? Is there a way in which writing has saved or sustained you as African American men in these times?
It's funny because you just never think people are watching or reading. You tell me if I'm wrong, but I never feel, until you start getting feedback on a video or something like that, I don't know if you ever actually feel like people are actually watching or reading. And I think once I realized that took on what, like I said again, a cultural responsibility, that I've been given this chance to be heard, and I need to be very pronounced, and I need to be to take this responsibility into the best spaces in the best way that I know how to, and put my body behind it. So I don't know if that has saved my life, but I do like to think sometimes about a younger version of myself who did not have access to his own words, and when I speak on behalf of him, I think that little guy is like, thank you. And I hope that I do that for as many people as I possibly can. And that's the way I kind of take this on. So, yeah.
Yeah, for me too. Yeah, it's definitely a life-saving, and it comes from like this network of underground words that you read by yourself or read with the community. Even if you read them by yourself, I still feel a connection. So maybe the Black voices I read as a teenager like saved my life. And for me to like want to contribute that, maybe that's also true, I don't know, but Gil Scott-Heron has no idea how he saved my life. So maybe I want to be the same in a mysterious way, like some little Black kid reads my stuff, it's like, I don't want to be beat anymore, I'm going to raise hell about it. Or, yeah, so in that way it's life-saving for me too.
Yeah, I understand how that works. I think that it's been that way for me too, both writing and reading. There's a way in which it can just ground you, you know, and keep you literally alive in the world. So we've run out of time. This is a short panel, but we have a few minutes for Q&A. So I'm going to pass it over to you. I know that you have some questions. We have one question, and then maybe we could squeeze in a little more of the poetry.
I read a lot of poetry. I dabble in it, but I read a lot of poetry. I'm wondering if reading poetry jumpstarts your own poetry, and who do you read?
Right now, I'm reading this book Olio by Tanya Jeffs, and it's thick. Like, it's not like a normal poetry read where you go like on a flight and can handle it in the flight. And so I've been diving pretty deep into that, you know. Right now, I've been in a pretty detailed study on how to figure out the best way for me to take a leap from the stage to the page, to try to enter and access publication. And so that's been kind of a wide practice. So it has not been so much what book am I reading, it's like what poems are people feeding me specifically. So, yeah.
Yeah, I read a lot of poetry too, even though I write I write fiction. Poetry teaches me to be a better fiction writer than usually other fiction does. It's something about these little ephemeral things that I don't know how to explain it, but I get more from poetry. And what I'm reading now, I'm reading Khadijah Queen a lot, and a Wisconsin poet named Nikki Washslager also. So a lot of women poets. And of course I read you too.
So do we have a vote for more readings? Do you want to hear some more? Okay.
So it looks as though we have, if my watch is correct, maybe about 7 minutes. So if you can just give us, between the two of you, something about the
I'll let you go last since you're like it's a good progression, like quiet to, yeah.
That's not accurate.
All right, I'll read the short one first. Yeah. Color. In class, I sit behind Rhonda. She always raises her hand. I get to stare at her arm. I kick the back of her seat so she can turn around. I look at the side of her face. I keep going to the pencil sharpener in the front so I can look at her eyes when I walk back. I draw 2 pictures the same, one for me, one for Rhonda. I draw us holding hands in front of a house. Out of the chimney comes smoke shaped like hearts, a big puffy apple tree beside the house. On the tree is a heart with our initials. I start to color, Rhonda first. Hair yellow, skin peach. I give Rhonda the picture, she smiles. I run up the steps to my house with the picture flapping. My mom looks but don't say nothing. She shows my stepdad and says, look at this shit. What the fuck, my stepdad says. He shoves a black crayon into my hand. His fat hand grabs mine and makes me color over Rhonda's yellow hair. Same to her face with a brown crayon. He says, now that's better. My mom says, sure enough is.
I do hear the Stephen the poet in your prose.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah.
So check this out. This is a picture of my grandma. I don't know if you can see her. But like my grandma was like kind of my everything. And I got to be a part of a program in Aurora for the last few years. It's called To the Black Boys, and it's named after one of my poems. It's just enormously humbling. But what it is it's basically we come into schools with kind of a group of mentors to work with students to let young students of color know that they are not a target. And that is very, very hard work on its initiality, is to try to teach somebody that they should already know and be well familiar with. And so they go through this process with us over the course of 8 weeks, and then after the 8th week, they have a formal graduation of them into their anti-target state. And so they asked me, they said, Javon, would you write a poem for the graduation? I was like, hell yeah, I'll write a poem for the graduation. Let me get that. And so this poem is constructed from the voice of my grandmother. It's called What She Would Have Said on This Day. 1, when the history books are constructed to document your story, mark this day as a victory. When those books open their mouths to tell the story of ourselves, you make sure that you are an author. Let them know that you are not just a boy, that you are also a son, and most of all, a proud dreamer firm in his shoes, too. You know, son, when the wind picks up, that's when most of us do our best dancing. That when things get tough, you gotta react, so keep them feet at work, keep that mind at work, keep that heart at work till you find a safe place to rest. 3, don't forget where you came from, but always know where you're going. That deep inside you, boy, is a mountain, and every day you will stand mighty. That deep inside you, boy, is a sunrise, and every day you will defend against the dawn. That deep inside you, boy, is lightning and thunder, and all the tools you will need to unshackle the locks on your wings. 4, like Ali used to say, rumble, young man, rumble till the ground remembers your name. 5, like Jack Robb said, life is not a spectator sport, so get in there and play. 6, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. The King Jr. 7, somewhere inside that brain of yours is a dream that is completely worth fighting for. What I need you to do is catch it. Hold it in a place where no one can touch it but you. Breathe it in and hold on to it even when the rains come, and they will. So grab your coat and pull up your bootstraps. There is still some sky up there that we have to bring home. 8, when they mistake you for something that you're not, correct them. 8, repeated. When you mistake yourself for something that you're not, correct yourself. 9, laugh until your belly hurts. Listen to your parents. Be a boy. Be grass stains. Be way too much for no reason. Be hungry. Be kind. Be your family. Be good to your teachers. Listen for the clues. Put those clues in place. Be yourself and lose yourself. And when you do, make sure that you've left a trail of breadcrumbs to lead you back home. And make sure that those breadcrumbs look a lot like today. Look a lot like victory, like struggle, like triumph, and like bravery. And when you trace your footsteps back, close your eyes. Put that little boy hand against your chest. Take a deep breath in and hear and feel that thing knocking. 10, answer it.
We could go for half hour more, right? But I just want to say this is what it's all about. So thank you.